TFNN. Live at TFNN, the Power Trading Hour with your host, David White. Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now, David White.
And welcome all to another exciting edition of the Power Trading Hour with me, your humble, lovable, squeezably soft host. And I'm going to do this in solidarity with Birdman getting Best Film of the Year. I'm going to do this entire show in my underwear. Of course, that's underneath my clothes. So, am I still in my underwear? I am. Covered by clothes, though. So, just throwing you a little curveball there, just in case you were wondering. And, of course, there's no way to get that out of your mind. You've seen it now. Anyway, what else do we have going on out here? It is an interesting day, and I'm going to get right to it. But for the most part, this is options rollover. We got a lot of cross currents going through the next few days, and we'll tell you why. Off 3 points on the S&P cash. Volume is very low at 1.84 billion shares as we start the show. I do not suspect that we are going to have any kind of volume again until probably sometime Wednesday afternoon. There's going to be probably some pretty decent volatility, and of course, being options rollover, the option market makers love it, but probably a little bit, how can I say that? A little bit reserved today. I think they're going to try to move the market around a little bit more up and down tomorrow. And probably by Wednesday afternoon, we're going to have some movement. And that is, of course, because we've got some events coming on. And we'll get into them. But for the most part, individual stocks moving, not so much the general market. But we shall continue to keep an eye out here for it. But as always, I'd like to start off the show with a little bit of histoire. And you never know how that's going to start.
And it's all just a little bit of history repeating.
It is a big day for the FOMC because today in 1995, Alan Greenspan told Congress that he sees no need for the Fed to raise interest rates. Less than 4 years after it broke the 3,000 mark, the Dow Jones Industrial Average closes above 4,000 for the first time, finishing the day at 4,003. and 33 cents. The Wall Street Journal declares the next day stocks cross 4,000 for the first time. And it was kind of the beginning of the party hat on CNBC. They'd started just 2 or 3 years earlier, but cheerleaders for the market. And every time they get to the century mark, they're more than willing to add a little bit more cheerleading out here. On this day in 1965, Michael Dell was born. He later drops out of the University of Texas at Austin to found Dell Computer Corporation. And interestingly enough, as we talk about Alan Greenspan, of course, every time this year it's time for the Humphrey Hawkins testimony. This year is no different. Mrs. Yellen will be talking tomorrow and Wednesday in her semi-annual briefing to Congress. And that's why I think we're going to have fairly light volume because there's going to be a lot of questions and answers. And they'll push it up, they'll push it down. And the question is, can anybody pin her down to anything in the way of actually raising rates? She kind of dropped the Baby Ruth in the punch bowl the first time she came to Humphrey Hawkins, but since then has been able to do, just like all politicians, talk for hours and say absolutely nothing. I don't think this is going to change anything else, and we will look at. Got a couple questions in the den before we started getting going on here. Did you see the Imitation Game? Yes, and I had a hard problem liking it because I know they're all pushing agenda because of what he was all about. But the thing that killed me was that there were some real heroes besides him in Bletchley Park, and that was the gentleman that actually designed the machine, the bomb. Alan never picked up more than a screwdriver. In fact, if he picked up a screwdriver, I would have been shocked. There was another gentleman that actually built the machine. Alan Turing was all about theoretical work and not about actual work. But a lot of times they have to shift and short other people to get the point across, which is, of course, a political one, like Hollywood is always out there. He was probably one of the most instrumental people in shorting the war by maybe as much as 2 years, if you believe Mr. Churchill, Winston Churchill. But pretty interesting. I like that everybody is interested in Alan Turing. I've been talking about him, I think, for 3 years on this show. And of course, probably the most instrumental person in figuring out how computers should work, but he never really built anything. And I kind of feel sad for the guy that actually did, who doesn't get any love. I went over to Bletchley Park I think I went to a thing about computerdom and met some of the people from Bletchley Park, I think in I think it was in the year 2000, maybe 1999. So I bumped into a few of those people that you saw rolling around on that in that movie. But sadly, of course, it's all about an agenda when you're telling a biopic that doesn't have to actually reflect truly what goes on in there. There were a lot of smart people besides Mr. Turing. Mr. Turing is famous, in my opinion, for one reason, and that is he figured out how computers should work long in advance of them actually working, and did a lot of the thought work. But the actual implementation, engineering, that kind of stuff was all done by other people. So I think there was more love to be shoved around for what they did in Bletchley Park than just him, although I think he did a yeoman's job of figuring out a lot of the stuff. If anybody wants to figure out actually how they truly did it, I can give you some links and some YouTube videos that basically tell you, without getting too technical, how all those codes were broken. But he had it kind of easy, actually, when you think about it, compared to the people that were there. Have you ever been to the Academy Awards live? No. I went to the Emmys to get my Emmy, and that was a technical Emmy, which is the day before. So I wasn't even there for the Emmys like the other ones. Mine were the technical Emmys. Yeah. It's other people are out there, but all these biopics, they tend to be made by a bunch of people, and they're all agenda driven, and it's more about that than normally about what really truly happened. So they're not biographies, and they are not history. They are kind of a fever dream to push whatever agenda that Hollywood has at the moment. So Birdman, probably an extra 30 minutes too long, but still, if you just look at the cinematography and everything else, probably, and definitely probably the best movie out there. And of course, the best performance by a gentleman ever. Not ever, but I guess this year was, of course, J.K. Simmons and Whiplash. If you haven't seen that, a very wonderful movie. And of course, you could say James Kramer was the prototype for the gentleman in Whiplash, if you read any of the books about him. Most people don't know that. But yeah, a lot of interesting stuff. And we know now, in fact, they have just redone Bletchley Park, which is where all the codes were broken, if no one's seen the movie. Just redid all of it, and they're making a museum out of it. And, of course, there wasn't a lot of things going around to do stuff with. So they actually found huge amounts of paperwork that was supposed to be classified that they were using in the attics of those little outhouse buildings to use as insulation. in the ceilings. And of course, right after that, everybody was so afraid that everybody would figure out what was going on with the code breaking that they moved it all to the United States, and everybody was sworn to secrecy. And most of the stuff didn't really truly come out until about 1990. But even stuff coming out today. But if anybody has any questions, they can always email me at path@tfnn.com. And of course, call me at 877-927-6648. What else do we have going on out here? A lot of news and news-driven stuff out here. What else we have? Of course, Boeing was down today. Goldman Sachs, who never lowers ratings on anything, is lowering ratings on Boeing today. The bank is cautious regarding the manufacturer's giant is part of a large wariness surrounding the aerospace industry. I don't understand this other than the fact that somehow probably Goldman had a bunch of short options or something that they wanted to get out of today. I always look for an ulterior motive, and always look at Goldman Sachs as my wife's divorce attorney. I probably shouldn't listen to anything that they have to say. They do not have my best earnings, before you just slip there, my best in their mind. It's always about making money. And of course, you might as well be listening to Pravda if you think you're getting anything straight out of them. But they were enough to get the thing down several bucks. Let's take a look at it right here. Currently off 3.5%. I think it was down maybe 4.5% earlier, trading out at 154.82, the last that we see out of it. They're not the only ones out there getting slammed by people going out there. JP Morgan, I have a feeling they really fattened this thing up on Friday to hammer it today. Of course, another analyst downgrade, or I like to call them an analyst downgrade, to underweight and a price target of $42. But you could pretty much see that they were getting a bubble out of this thing off at $10 right now, almost 15%. And of course, that's even coming back into FireEye, which I think is the better of the two. CyberArk is very much like PANW, which is Palo Alto Networks. And, even Palo Alto is off 3% today, so kind of going around it. But they'd been going up way, way fast, and not impossible to think that they were coming back. My guess is that there were a few ripe positions out here that they ran up into Friday and probably shorted in Friday and probably taken some cash off the table today at JP Morgan and Goldman. Easy money for fleecing the rubes and the general public out here. I don't think that there's anything more to this than that. Of course, what else can you say? Polypore International is basically saying that they're going to be selling their company, so they had a nice little pop out here today. PPO, let me get a current quote for you on that. Ooh, going to break here.
TFNN is excited about our new software charting program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts. In collaboration with Tom O'Brien and using his best-selling book, The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System, David White has programmed an outstanding piece of software that will complement any trader's methodology. Using this first-of-its-kind program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts allows you to scan thousands of stocks for Fibonacci formation setups, including Gartley's, ABC's, butterflies, and much more. The Art of Timing the Trade Charts is designed to help you when scouring the markets for stocks just beginning to form the trading patterns that many investors spend days, weeks, or even months searching to find. And right now, we're offering licenses available at only $79 a month. We are so confident that you're going to love this new charting software that will even give you a 30-day unconditional money-back guarantee. Don't miss out on this incredible new piece of software. Get your copy of The Art of Timing the Trade Charts today by visiting TFNN.com.
Check out the new look of Tiger TV. Now you can see all hosts, charts, and computer screens live in high definition. Whether it's Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, David White, Larry Pezzamento, Andy Hecht, Think or Swim, or Daryl Martin, you can catch all of our technicians hosting their programs live and archived on Tiger TV. Now, crystal clear in high definition, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you haven't seen the new look of Tiger TV, then visit TFNN.com. Platinum, grains, crude oil, gold, copper, cattle, hogs, gasoline, natural gas, coffee, cotton, cocoa, and sugar. These are just some of the commodities mentioned in the most recent issue of Andy Hecht's Techno-Mental Commodity Report. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Techno-Mental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you will lock in the low rate of only $79 a month. Sign up right now for the Techno-Mental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
You've always taken the long view when it comes to investing, but what if there's an opportunity right under your nose? What if you could be more responsive to market trends to seek to boost your portfolio performance right now while seeking to reduce your overall risk? At Direction Funds, we connect investors with alternative strategies that seek to maximize their returns. Smart investors deserve smart alternatives. Find yours at directionfunds.com. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risk charges, and expenses of Direction Funds carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction Funds. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact the Direction Funds at 800-851-0511. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. Investing in index funds may be more volatile than investing in broadly diversified funds. Distributed by Rafferty Capital Markets, LLC.
Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den, but wondered, what exactly is it? The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of your favorite TFNN shows, plus see all the charts as they happen live during those shows, and have access to all those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days. It will greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. Dave takes your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
And we were talking about Polypore when we went to break up $6.87, up almost 13%. They're going to sell themselves to I want to say Ashi Kasai. I think that's how it's pronounced. Aussie. I think that's how the beer's pronounced, so I'm assuming that's how it's pronounced. But a Japanese company for $60.50 per share, and it's just 75 cents underneath that, so pretty much that. But probably what's most important about that is that this company is, of course, in the battery sector. They make membranes for lithium-ion batteries, and kind of interesting that, one, they think that they need to sell themselves, and two, that someone's willing to pay up. So there's a little bit of both going on there, but that whole sector is pretty hot right now, and probably expect a few more buyouts in this battery, lithium-ion, and other kinds of battery sectors here in the coming weeks. I think everybody's thinking they've got to make some kind of move with Tesla building their battery factories and all that. Of course, as a special edition of the Power Trading Hour, the Oscars trading. I don't know how many people didn't know that Whiplash was based at least a little bit on Buddy Rich. And if you've got, don't mind some foul language, just Google Buddy Rich bus and tirade or rant, and you'll get to hear somebody that's not too far away from that guy in Whiplash. But I think I saw an interview somewhere that's where the guy got the original idea to start writing the script out there. Somebody that was complete insane jackass. And Buddy Rich, anyway, it's on YouTube, so you can listen to it. But they hated him so much that they recorded all his rants and then played them. Of course, after these guys would leave the band, these things would make themselves out. Of course, that was before the day of the internet. Today, of course, he would have been branded and beaten and made to pay for his rants. But I think I don't think he's alive anymore, is he? It's hard to tell. Anyway, not a lot new going on out here. Of course, Samsung got the contract over the weekend from Apple for its DRAM, and basically Samsung's building this new 3D memory, and it's DDR4 memory. It's basically 4 channels of memory, low power, double data rate memory for mobile with 20 nanometer technology. And that kind of putting a little bit of pressure on SanDisk and Micron today. Micron off almost 2%, SanDisk off 1.6%. But if you're wondering why that is, they didn't get the contract. That kind of means that Apple and Samsung are, I guess, putting all the stuff away. But at the same time, it's hard to deny that other than Intel, if you're going to go to somebody for the very, very smallest cutting edge technology out there for reducing the amount of power your device takes, you either have to go to Intel or secondarily to Samsung. Micron and SanDisk are down on the level of mass producers. Samsung also announced it is producing its 14 nanometer system on a chip already has commenced. That makes most people think that their next fast low power processor will be in this new Samsung Galaxy that will be out, or at least shown somewhere around the 1st or 2nd of March. And of course, they had ads running last night during the Oscar Awards. Of course, I wasn't able to watch them live. I had to fast forward through them because, of course, we at TFNN always have our awards show, and of course, it was a slam dunk. I was getting the Digressing Award once again this year, and I just think everybody's just given up, just allowing me to go forth and just collect another one of my Oscars for digressing again this year. Other things of interest, Computer Sciences, CSC is the symbol on that, says that they're willing to either go to private equity or strategic acquirer, and they're up 7% today. CSC is the symbol on those. Other than that, kind of hard. Had a question on Friday. I don't know if we have enough time to get through this. The question was, I think, on comment about Western Digital, Seagate, and other companies like this that basically had software installed, worms, viruses, Trojans installed in the hard drives and or memory. And the question was, do you think that there's a business coming for guaranteed un-NSA'd hard drives and memory and that kind of stuff? And we'll get to that answer when we come back after the break.
The Path of Least Resistance is David White's daily trading newsletter, and if you're looking for active trading ideas, then now's a perfect time for a 30-day free trial to this powerful daily trading advisory service. David uses his years of trading experience to offer his subscribers his trading ideas each morning in his Path of Least Resistance newsletter. Using a combination of equity trades along with options, David keeps his subscribers up to date with all pertinent market information with intraday afternoon updates when warranted. Don't miss out on this great chance to get a 30-day free trial to David's daily newsletter, The Path of Least Resistance, with no obligation to pay anything. David has been delivering solid recommendations for his subscribers recently, and if you'd like to see the type of newsletter he delivers every morning, then visit the front page of TFNN and you'll find The Path of Least Resistance under Trading Newsletters. For all the details and to start your 30-day free trial today, log on to TFNN.com now. Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
If you're an active trader looking for that extra edge when it comes to trading and investments, then now is a great time to get a 2-week free trial to Tom O'Brien's daily market letter, Market Insights. Tom O'Brien's daily newsletter, Market Insights, comes out every market day at around 9:30 a.m. and provides Tom's daily commentary on the broad market, including the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P, plus specific trade recommendations. There's even an update published most afternoons to keep you informed about the day's market activity. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock and option trade. With Market Insights, there's nothing left to guessing. For all the details and to get your 2-week free trial to Market Insights started today, visit TFNN.com.
Today, it's hard to tell if the economy is coming or going. Regardless, I want my money going in the direction I choose. If that's your stance as well, then you want to know how Everbank can help keep your money thriving just the way you want. Is growing your money a priority? Everbank is committed to a yield pledge promise to pay high yields on your checking, money market, and CD balances. Looking to diversify? Everbank ingeniously developed accessible ways to spread your money around the world into foreign currencies and even non-FDIC insured metals. And when it comes to your wealth, they bring a highly experienced and global perspective to help you manage it. Everbank's financial philosophy flies in the face of the status quo. They believe your money's performance should not be determined by today's economic circumstances, but by the drive to rise above them and create opportunities that favor your objectives. If that excites you, like it does me, call 1-855-750-4051 to find out what they can do for you. That's 1-855-750-4051. Call them today. Everbank is a member FDIC and equal housing lender.
This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
I had a couple people email me that they didn't really understand what I was talking about, and maybe because they missed my show last week. But what happened was all these hard drive manufacturers, there is software on the hard drive in a embedded chip, i.e. it never really changes, although you can program it into and reprogram these chips. But basically, it's a very small program that runs everything on the hard drive. When hard drives spin, there's a temperature change, and the data is so close to each other that even a fraction of a degree is enough to make the heads not center perfectly or correctly. So there's a lot of software in there to do what's called the thermal alignment. There's a lot of other software out there that figures out how to get data off those platters in an organized manner, and how to format the drive, and how to manage the drive, and errors on the drive, that kind of stuff. And that's in a very tiny chip on that board, if you've ever looked at a hard drive. Basically, what the NSA did was figure out a way to stick some code in an unused part of that chip. Those chips are even small ones now generally have much more memory than anybody's ever going to use. And they found out a way to probably get to somebody at these companies, probably not the CEOs or that kind of stuff, but maybe a guy that used to work in the military, or maybe somebody that they could blackmail and get them to put the software in this chip. And if you issued the hard drive a special command, it would download basically a worm and then give you access to everything on the hard drive without the operating system being able to do anything about it. And that meant things like also your security software wouldn't pick up anything going wrong, because it wasn't really running in the processor for the most part. It would just reboot the machine, run this code, and basically someone could inspect the hard drive from afar if they wanted to. And of course, the NSA's fingerprints are all over this. But the question is whether or not there is a business now to have drives that are quote, quote, certified. And my answer is no. I talked about it a couple weeks ago, and that is China's law now that if you're going to sell anything in that country, you have to give them access to all the firmware code so they can go through it to make sure the NSA hasn't done anything with it. And to me, that's the bigger problem now. Do you just not sell to China, or do you give them the code and let them steal everything and all your intellectual property? I think the zeal for the NSA is very short-sighted economically to go after these guys. But no, I don't think, if I was China, I wouldn't accept anything less than the full source code, and also randomly checking these hard drives that came in and seeing whether or not any of the firmware was changed. Now, I think the company that reported this, of course, was Kaspersky, which is the Russian software security giant, which, as far as I can tell, is just an arm of Putin. So if you've got that for your software, I would just probably think about buying something else, because it's pretty easy to see that they didn't come up with this, but that it was given to them somewhere. There was a leak. Someone said something or figured it out, and Putin used it to probably called them up and said, hey, you need to start talking about the NSA being in everybody's business. And Kaspersky did it. I think that's how you pronounce it. But I would not believe, or let me put it this way, I would not be using their software on my machine knowing that Putin basically owns them and can put them in prison or shoot them in the head at any moment. That would not be my choice for security software. But just a thought. But that's pretty much it. It is a mad market. Again, fairly benign movement here. Options rollover off 4 points on the S&P cash, and just still under 2.1 billion shares, just a little over 2 billion shares. So volume very light. But that does not mean I don't suspect that we are going to see lighter volume throughout the rest of the day. Just let me look at a few of them. We had some people trying to mouse the system earlier, and interesting to say the least, to see everybody out there trying to move the market. And today it was a bogus announcement by somebody from Nigeria, amplified by CNBC, only to find out it wasn't exactly, or even close to exactly, what they said it was to begin with. And they kind of moved oil prices around very shortly. Let me see, what else do we have going on out here? I want to look at a few of these stocks and how they are holding up into these highs. Let's take a look at some of the ones that were moving out here first. Now, Micron had a fairly big gap down on earnings, where they actually said there was going to be a problem. It got back into that same gap on February 17th, but same gap down. I think that was on earnings on the 12th of January. almost 42 million shares. Got back into it with half that February 17th, $32.84. It's been pulling back since then. Probably a bigger trading range between 28 and 32. I just can't see how this commodity business doesn't go back to commodity prices fairly soon. SNDK, of course, was hit much harder on earnings about the same time. The 12th of January, this thing came down on Monster. It couldn't even come back and fill that gap yet. SanDisk, probably the weaker sister between SanDisk and Micron, but I think both of them are probably weaker than Samsung now for memory. Samsung has a brand new $3 billion factory for cranking out all this memory and some other stuff. And I think just their technology may be a little bit better. Wanted to take a look at Amazon. This is one of the more important stocks out here for at least coming back to this March 13th high of 2014, $383.11, 6.8 million shares. And we're just going to look at the last couple of times up into this gap. On the 13th of February, 3.4 million shares. Today, 1.5 million shares as it kind of dances around this long-term gap. Let's go back a little bit farther. This is a market that we could go back up and retest highs even on light volume, but certainly the last test of this March 14th. Of course, Amazon came off with massive volume of, 16.2 million shares on the 31st of January 2014, and that's basically what is offering resistance in most of Amazon here for a while. Now, you had a nice gap up with decent volume out here, but to me, this is where the sledding gets pretty rough, and it's going to be problematic. See if there's anything else. I mean, you got two gaps out here, one where this thing gapped up and one where this gapped down. It gapped up on 10 million shares on the 30th of January 2014, and then gapped down, of course, the next day. Talk about a reversal signal with that 16.2 million shares. So an interesting pattern out here, but this is going to tell us a lot about whether people are going to want to go up and buy things at the highs besides Apple. Kind of interestingly, the weakest stocks to me look right now to be these dollar stores like Big Lots and Dollar General, and we're going to go through all of these. I looked this morning about shorting these and was doing my due diligence just because this whole sector looks horrible. But as I was going through some of the stuff, looking at the options, figuring out the plays that I could put in the newsletter today, came up that, of course, you've got earnings somewhere between the 5th and the 10th for most of these. And I didn't want to be shorting these stocks into earnings this close. And, could they push this all the way back up to the highs, especially in this market? I think the answer is yes. This thing came down on monster volume, of course, on the 5th of December of 9.3 million shares. It's back up here with very light volume, 420,000, 575,000 the last few days. What'd you have on the 17th? 1.4 million shares. But you're basically a two-gap play down here. This thing's filled that second gap down, and now we're into this higher gap down that had, 1.8 million shares. Again, volume not, you had volume on that 17th of February 17th this year, but since then you've had 4 days of very light volume. But I would think maybe this thing can hit 50. But again, by the time it hits 50, plays around a couple of days, then you're just a couple of days away from earnings. And I just don't know. They continue to push these stocks, even though they've got poor fundamentals right into earnings. And that's probably one of the reasons I will not be making plays on this. But all these stocks, pretty light volume up here at the top. Dollar General, another one of these with earnings here in the near future. Light volume of a test of a top. December 19th, 8.6 million shares at 71.78. We've gone over that. We're going to close below it again. Even the energy is off in this big W pattern we've had that started December 31st. And, energy is off probably about 25%, maybe 20%. From that big leg down from December 31st to January 16th, the one that started back up on February 2nd till today up here is off, I'm going to say 20%. And there was another one I was looking at out here. DLR. Of course, that isn't it. What was it? I was looking at something else. Dollar General. Maybe that's it. Maybe I'm losing my mind. Anyway, I wanted to look at some of these other stocks out here. Adobe Systems. Wanted to see how this thing was going over its highs. Again, a lot of light volume, but I think we could go sideways for the next couple of days unless Miss Yellen says something about raising interest rates sooner rather than later. My guess is that we're going to hold up here at least for a couple of days. Maybe we sell off anyway, but I don't think we're going to sell off in advance of her saying that she's turning the music off for this party. September 12th, we had a gap up and a nice little spike. December 12th, $77.56 on Adobe. And of course, the last 4 days, 1.6 million shares, 1.5 million shares, 1.5, 1.6. Today, 675,000. So, are we going to close back under? Maybe not today. But again, energy is probably not as bad on this one. But interesting to me, at least, nonetheless. Liquid liquidators. Liquid lumber liquidators. I've got that backwards. Okay. Okay, liquid liquidators. Mr. LL. This thing gapped down on huge volume. It's now come back and filled this gap. The gap down started on June 10th. Is that right? No, July 10th of 2014 with 10 million shares. It's been working its way back up here. If I remember right, numbers weren't good in the building business this morning, although I didn't see much effect. Got a little bit better volume than we did this September 31st push into this gap. We're back, but I'm not going to say that the volume is great out here. 560,000 shares on the 19th of this month, 443 the next day, 800,000 shares the next day. So we're slowly filling this gap, but you got to be probably these are the ones that are most interesting. Oh, this was the one I was thinking of earlier in these dollar stores and retail environment. Ross Stores, which has been kind of a big monster out here, has been consolidating sideways since this gap up on November 21st last year. That gap came on 6.3 million shares. It's acted as support back to January 16th and February 2nd as it bounced through these lows. So lower volume at the lows, but also now lower volume at the highs. January 13th, the 1.5 million shares, $97.78. And, 800,000 shares so far today, probably going to come in light. Now, there is one thing, and that is when you go from and hit $89 and you hit $90, there's a huge statistical inference that you are going to hit 100. And I have a feeling that we are going to hit 100, even if it's on lighter volume, before this thing would reverse and come back into its trading range. Maybe it gets volume after it, but probably not a good opportunity to short stocks that are $89 or $98 because they're going to go to 100 80% of the time. So kind of a bad bet. But if volume continues light, 101, 102 bucks, this thing could easily come back in its trading range and make it back down to 90, and that's what you need to watch out for. We're going to go to break. You can always email me at path@tfnn.com and or call me at 877-927-6648.
Trade with confidence and clarity while using the software that thousands of institutional traders rely on to make the best and most accurate decisions. Choose from 1,000 equities, currencies, and futures instruments utilizing the TAS architecture. As seen on Bloomberg terminals worldwide, the TAS Profile Scanner is a benchmark technical filtering system that thousands of traders rely on, and now you can too. For a limited time for TFNN subscribers only, we've reduced the price to just $97. That's over 75% off. John Logan hosted a special subscriber-only webinar in December, and you'll gain access to that archive as well, so you can learn exactly what the TAS Profile Scanner can do for you. Try this product out. No matter what you trade, the TAS Profile Scanner can help you make more informed trading decisions. There's no obligation to pay anything. Don't let this offer pass you by. Get your 30-day free trial to the TAS Profile Scanner today by signing up at TFNN.com.
Tom O'Brien's weekly gold letter, The Gold Report, gives complete and concise coverage of the entire gold market. Inside, you'll get Tom's commentary on gold, the dollar, the rand, the bond, the XAU, the HUI, and detailed coverage of nearly 25 mining stocks. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock trade. The Gold Report is a long-term newsletter where the focus is on building real wealth through the management of a successful portfolio of gold stocks. With a lifetime of knowledge and almost 12 years of writing his informative weekly newsletter, The Gold Report, Tom O'Brien can provide you with the important market information to help you make better trades in the gold market. Don't let the next bull run in gold pass you by. To get a month-long free trial to The Gold Report, an $85 value, visit the front page of TFNN.com today.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
We're told to follow our passion and everything else will fall into place. I hope that's what each of you are doing each and every day. Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of the Money Master Show at TFNN.com, and my passion for technical analysis is what led me to the most fundamental discovery in pattern recognition, the Rhodes Momentum Indicator, market scanner, and trading strategy, a set of tools that identify the momentum and power of the trend, the likes of which have never been seen before, for every market and every time frame. Yes, folks, the trend is your friend, unless you're on the other side. New to technical analysis? This is the place to start. And experienced traders take advantage of the trend like never before. Experience the power of the Rhodes Momentum Indicator each day, available to subscribers of my newsletter service, Mastering Probability. I guarantee your satisfaction for the next 30 days unconditionally, so there's no risk to you other than being on the wrong side of the trend. Mastering Probability, available on the homepage of TFNN.com. And folks, live with passion.
Catch Tom O'Brien, professional trader and educator, founder of TFNN. Also, a special guest on CNBC. Tom will bisect and dissect the markets. The Tom O'Brien Show, next on TFNN.
And as we get back, I had a question in the den about any ABCs out here for Apple. And basically, you got to be looking at this thing pretty much completing at least one ABC. If you wanted to look back from 95.18 on the October 15th low to the November 25th high, your C point in this would be your low on January 6th at 104.63. That would give you a 1-to-1 of 129.20. Of course, we've gone up to 132.60 already. If you go to the 1 to 382. One that would take you to 138.59, 1.5, 141, and a 1618 of 144.38. So, if you're going to get a huge extension out here, you're going to look at that. But right now, most likely you're going to hold this thing up until the iWatch comes out in March, or they roll it out in March. I do not have the dates for that yet, but that would probably, I'm looking for this thing probably to see some kind of high on that iWatch rollout. They've only ordered enough parts to make 5 million of them. And that may give you an idea of what's going on out here in Apple. My guess is you're probably going to see the temporary high for this year at least, probably somewhere around that iPhone or the iWatch rollout, or I think it's going to ship 2 weeks after the rollout. And so maybe look for 1st of April or something, April Fool's Day. But pretty much complete its ABC right now, at least on a 1-to-1. The energy on this thing, not too bad. So could you see an extension out here? If you're expecting much higher prices, the first thing you'd love to do is have this thing probably pull back light in light volume to 120 instead of continue up here and form a blowout top. So that would be it. What else do we have going on out here? We've got a few more other stocks going on. UWM. ProShares Ultra 2000. We are up at these levels, and let's take a look at here. And let me turn that off. We're just bouncing around these highs. We've bounced around them several times. My thought is probably we're going to see the market pop back up after Janet Yellen's finished speaking on Wednesday. And if we get volume that comes in, then we're probably going to have some kind of real long move higher, kind of bubbly. And a lot more gamblers coming into this market, as you could see from some of the stocks that failed today. As we talked about earlier in the show, that all it took was a small downgrade to blow apart Cyber Arc, which is now down $11 and or 16% in one day. But you can see the same kind of thing setting up, and that is a lot of people gambling for higher prices. I could see a lot of volume come in late on Wednesday, and they push it up and maybe hold it up through Friday. If volume comes in, then we'll have a valid breakout, especially in some of these leveraged products, which I think are much more interesting to me right now, like the UWM. But so far, very, very light volume back into these highs. And I'm going to have to see a lot more energy come back into these things to make me think that this is real. But it only takes a couple of days of decent volume to confirm a breakout on energy. Anyway, we'll see you tomorrow. Same bat channel, same bat time. So when you can, not when you have to. Buckle your seatbelts up for a little volatility in the next couple of days.
You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com. You're watching Tiger TV.